Hi, everyone. This is Getting Familiar, and I am Lady Stars and Fire. Now, typically on this show, we go over anything that is spiritually animal related. So, we typically are going over our power animals, totems, and what is our spirit guides, along with what that means, what that brings to us, what guidance it is that we are getting from them. The thing is, I've been directed by Spirit this time to go into a little bit more of what healing we receive from these animals, into a deeper, larger aspect, into the understanding that yes, they are guides. Yes, they are power animals that bring protection and guardianship to us. But more importantly than that alone, they are bringing us healing in different ways. But it is important that we start to realize that this healing is there so we can get the full amount of information that we need for them, the full agenda of why they're there for us, so we can actually receive all that there is to receive from Spirit in this area. See, a lot of times we think of them as our power guides, our spirit animals, but we're not receiving or thinking exactly of the healing that comes with it. And when we look into it under this idea, there actually becomes more animals. They branch out into different categories, even though they may have actually been originally a guide or a protector. So again, I'm going to say Spirit comes in many ways to bring its messages, to bring its healing, to bring its learning, its teaching, as well as its protective energy and its power. There's many different ways. It repeats itself. What mannerisms does it take on? All of this has to do with these different aspects and how it is that they actually branch out into these different forms of spirit animals and how they are bringing us this information, this guidance, this healing, this power, because they kind of come together. I will say again, legends are lessons. And the only reason we learn from the animals is because every animal has a lesson that has been a legend in some form that has been passed down, or we would have never received that information in the first place. This is how they are teaching us to mend the bond with spirit or with our own spirit. And just like you don't judge a book by its cover, you don't judge people without knowing them, you don't judge an animal without knowing its medicine. Just because it seems one way does not mean that you are getting the correct medicine. Even if you understand the medicine, it can easily be misunderstood. Because, see, the animal I plan on going over today can be very confusing, and its medicine can easily be misunderstood if you do not know how to perceive it, if you do not know how to view it and understand what it's giving to you or what it's trying to heal you with or teach you in some way, the knowledge that it's bringing to you. But before I go over that animal, I'm going to go over some of these additional aspects of animal spirit. I have spoken of this one before, what we call the shadow animal. A shadow animal is a form of a power animal, teaching you something you are afraid of through negativity in your life. Depending on the situation, obviously, any of these animals could have actually been a guide or a power animal, depending on the medicine that it is bringing to you at that time when it's trying to actually bring healing to you, not just knowledge, not just learning of life lessons, not just power and protection, but actually healing. See, healing is always the deeper root behind the situation. And if they have to branch out, then it's because the healing is not being made. A shadow animal is an animal that starts repeating and coming back again and again and again because whatever that message is, for whatever reason it is in your life, you are simply not getting it. You are overlooking it. You are not viewing it. You are just unconscious to the fact that the animal is repeatedly coming back again and again. This is what creates it to become a shadow animal because it keeps coming back. Its mannerisms are the same. It keeps repeating itself because it's trying to get your attention and tell you, hey, I need healing. It is actually trying to teach you that in some way, some area in your life, something is wounded, a wounded aspect of yourself that needs healing. And it's coming through in animal form to try to show you what it is that that healing needs. Again, I say that shadow animals repeat themselves. But more importantly, they don't just repeat themselves. Animals will actually sacrifice themselves. It has to do with synchronicity. I don't understand fully. It is above my level of understanding. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I get it. I don't, but I do comprehend. I am aware of how and when it happened. They will sacrifice themselves to try to get that message across to you. One way of looking at it is often we hear stories of how a bird just flew directly into a window, maybe into your home's window, maybe into the car's window. But for whatever reason, that bird dive bombed itself directly into the window. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is not a pure accident. This is part of synchronicity and oneness coming together, trying to give you that message. And for whatever reason it is, that animal flat out sacrificed itself because you're not getting the message. This is a shadow animal. A shadow animal shouldn't have to go to the extreme of sacrificing itself just so that you can start to comprehend and become aware of what it is Spirit is trying to teach you. See, I find this to be just incredibly sad and depressing that so many of us will miss this information because we're unconscious to it. We're unaware. If we start paying attention to the fact that they are repeating themselves in such a way, it doesn't have to lead up to it being sacrificed or its sacrifice of itself. See, this is why a shadow animal needs the healing, needs you to learn the healing that you need to receive, the lesson in the healing so that you can gain its power. The shadow animal is actually crying out for you to find that healing, to heal it so that you can gain its power and move on positively. Therefore, it can come out of the shadow, it can stop repeating itself, and it doesn't have to go all the way to sacrificing itself before you get the message, if indeed you ever receive the message. Let me give you an example. A very good friend of mine had a situation happen. Now, I'm not going to discuss the situation exactly, but I'm going to discuss the event. The situation is very simple. She kept finding ladybugs, but ladybugs that were dead. And gradually, these dead ladybugs started showing up in bigger piles, in areas in her life, just in general. And she's like, what is up? Every time I turn around, I'm finding piles of dead ladybugs. And I brought it to her attention at this point. And I was like, that's a shadow animal. Ladybugs are trying to teach you something and you aren't listening. I was like, they're sacrificing themselves for you because they're trying to bring you a healing message. And if you look it up, if you take the time and you be responsible to Spirit and you Google that and you dissect what it means into your own personal life, you're going to find what that message meant. And lo and behold, she did. She figured it out. She understood what it meant in her life. and the ladybugs stopped. They stopped appearing everywhere she was dead. She stopped seeing ladybugs for the longest time. Now she sees them from time to time, but they're not dead. They're just there to remind her. See, this is also why I tell you the sacrificing of the animal will stop when the lesson is learned. It will stop repeating itself and or going all the way up into the sacrificing of itself to teach you that lesson. But once that lesson is learned, the shadow animal will disappear. It will stop coming because the lesson has been learned. It does not need to continue to do so. Now, to this very day, she has gone and gotten a tattoo of a ladybug. And I find that incredibly important. And the reason for that is because this is her way of honoring the ladybug as well as what it was teaching her, what it was healing her, because it serves more than one purpose. But that tattoo serves as a reminder as well as honoring the fact of what all Spirit went through to teach her that lesson. See, when we honor Spirit in whatever way it is that is for us to honor it, we are individuals. No one person is going to honor it the same as another person. But when we honor that they were trying to help us, that they gave us respect and was trying to teach us, heal us, give us lessons, and basically allow us to have the power so we can move on in our life, if we are honoring them, they will return in different ways. Maybe not like for her, that ladybug again, but synchronicity is going to bring it back to you again and again. And the more that you are in synchronicity, synchronized with the universe, the more that you are in balance with it, the more connection Spirit is going to take, and that you're going to have this communication so that you are moving in a healthier way and you're able to see it. But it starts always with healing and validation of knowing it is happening. See, this is why I'm going over how our animal spirits, our power animals, our power guardians, our spirit guides branch out into additional animals of different forms to help us in different ways, depending on what it is in our life at that time it is we need. The next one I'm going to go over is what we would consider to be a journey animal. Now, again, Spirit can go through many ways to communicate with you. This animal, the journey animal, I would consider, in truth, that you are going to come across it more in meditation, shamanic journeys, in your dreams. I'm sure it could show up in real life, but depending on what the animal may be, I would assume that it's probably going to show up more in your dreams, your meditations. For some reason, you might have a glance of it in your eyes, like a vision of it that makes you think of it. And a journey animal is going to stick with you until the journey is done. This is why it's called a journey animal. You see, the journey animal comes to us when we're stuck, when we don't know which direction to take, when we don't know where to go next, when for some reason we're stuck kind of like a fork in the road. We can't make the proper decisions. We can't seem to figure out what to do. This is what a journey animal is all about, as it is actually there to help you through the changes that are occurring in your life, the encounters that you are going to come across, and how to develop yourself, the development of the direction, the path that you are going on in the journey you are now in. This is what it is there for. It is helping us make the proper changes. But a journey animal is going to stick with you from the time the journey starts until the time the journey ends. Now, this is where the guide that you typically think of, your spirit guide or your power animal can become confusing when we are dealing with a journey animal, because a journey animal can last for months, even years, because it's there to stay with you until the journey is done. So the question actually becomes, when we are dealing with a journey animal, is what is the journey at this time in our life? Like I said, it comes to us when we're stuck, when we don't know what direction to take, when we're at that fork in the road. Now, we go through many journeys in our life, many different paths. So some journeys are going to be shorter than others, and this is why some only last a few months. As well as, how do you know that maybe that journey animal isn't in the same way, slightly a little bit differently linked to a power guardian? Because maybe you're actually after your soul mission. You're actually trying to find your divine life purpose. If you're that deeply into your journey, then your journey animal may be part of your life for life. Again, a journey animal is with you depending on what the journey is, how long the journey is, and it's there from the beginning of the journey until the end of the journey. Now, like I said, this can be confusing to many people, as well as it was to myself, because I was sure I knew who my power animal was. I was sure that I knew who it was and I was on the right path. And then when I started doing my shamanic journeys, I come to realize, oh, I was wrong. See, I've been wrong more times than I've been right. But this is how we learn. We learn through our failures. We learn through our mistakes. Because if we don't make mistakes, we don't learn. Again, I was sure I knew who my power animal was. I was positive. There was no way in my mind that I was wrong until I started my shamanic journeys and I followed the proper rules or lessons of how to be sure, clarify this, and find out exactly who is what. And that's when I realized what I thought was my power animal is in a form a power animal, but it is actually a journey animal for me. That my power animal is completely a different animal. They actually hold two different aspects, as they are two completely different animals. Yet, they somehow are intertwined very closely and woven tightly knitted into my life. This is exactly why I teach animal medicine, animal healing, animal spirit guides, powers, and guardianship, etc. Because I find it to be so important, yet very easily confusing. Along with the simple fact, man, I've been there. I get it. I was confused. I've made mistakes along the way, and I'm sure I'm going to make more. This is how we learn. This is how we receive the healing, trial and error, so that we can receive all of this information Spirit has to teach us. But being aware and passing on that information makes it easier on the next person so they don't have to be so confused. That's part of what you're supposed to do. It's simply teaching how to receive the gifts of Spirit for healing, for power, for lessons and knowledge, as well as teaching to be in service of others. Anyway, the next animal that I'm going to go over is a very confusing animal because it's truthfully not one of your animals and it's not meant to be there. I'm going to go over what we call the imposter animal. But first, it's time to take a break and let our sponsors do their thing. So we'll be back in just a few minutes, and then I'll go over what the imposter animal is about. Hey everybody, this is Lady Stars and Fire. Come on over and visit me at our magical sanctuary, where you can get the free healing messages each week, as well as picking up your own personal readings. I do Ruan, I do Tarot, I do combinations, and there's many to choose from. You can also get your astrology, where you can get your personology and your solar returns. Shop around and see all of my personal handcrafted magical items, or see the different spiritual information that is on the site. Come again and visit us at LadyStarsAndFire.com, our magical sanctuary with me, Lady Stars and Fire. Be good to you, love, and use you wisely. Hugs and kisses in the wind, everyone.
Since 2014, the Pagan Business Network has been building resources by bringing together pagan-owned and pagan-friendly businesses. With multiple resources available, it doesn't matter if you're an artisan, musician, vendor, author, publishing company, blogger, podcaster, event planner, or any other organization. We have the resources here to help you succeed. Becoming a member is easy and affordable, even for the smallest of budgets. With your membership, you will get Business Spotlight, which is an article written in an interview style, complete with details and photos. Social media sharing through the Pagan Business Network. A blog roll. A membership card for discounts at participating businesses. You'll also get discounts on tickets to all Pagan Business Network events, and so much more. You can check us out at paganbusinessnetwork.com for more information.
Okay, everybody, we are back, and I am Lady Stars and Fire, and this is Getting Familiar. Now, we go over all things spiritually animal related here on this show. We were talking about what a shadow animal is, what a journey animal is, and I was about to go into what an imposter animal is. See, one of the reasons I'm going back through different, deeper aspects of what our power animals and our spirit guides can also branch out into is for healing purposes, because I'm being directed by spirit into looking at the healing purposes behind the spirit animals and what some of their deeper meanings are. And this is why I'm bringing up these aspects. Now, the imposter animal or the imposter guides are actually not your animals. And this is why they're called imposter. For whatever reason, they're masquerading as your animals. But they bring you a feeling of discernment. Something is off. Something is wrong. Something is negative. It's just not right. And that is your gut telling you you're right. That's your gut telling you this is an imposter animal. This is not an animal that is there to help you in any way. Now, I would say typically this would happen more in dreams, more in journeying, more in your reality of astral projection, in meditation. In my opinion, this is more of your unconscious fears and worries manifesting into form. And this is why the animal is feeling negative, feeling of discernment that something is just not right, something is wrong, because it's really not there. It's really not there to help you. This is you manifesting negative fears, angers, worries that are actually not something is going to be helpful. This is something you've brought up out of your own unconscious from a fearful manner. So, if you come across an imposter animal, the best thing that you can do is offer it healing. Offer it acceptance. Why are you making me feel so uncomfortable? What is it about you that needs to be healed? And if it does not accept this healing from you, then you need to banish it, because this is something that's going to take you in a negative form if you continue to deal with it. There's a reason why your gut is giving you that, no, this is just off. And this is one of those times where it's important to listen to it. I would say that this is one of those rare times where face value counts. Okay, let's look at it from a different form. Everybody has in their life those people that are simply two-faced. And you know better than to trust them. You know better than to believe in them. You know better than to accept them into your life, although we still do. And we usually get burned because we know that they are not being real. They are not being authentic. They are not being true. They're two-faced. They're going to turn on you. This is what an imposter animal is. For whatever reason, from your unconscious, it's coming from a negative place, but it's coming from that negative place. So therefore, it's not going to be teaching you anything that is helpful because you at that moment are negative. For whatever reason, this is why it is showing up. And this is why you need to banish it. This is why if you cannot get it to accept healing from you, then it is not something that is going to be a guide to you. It is not something that is going to present guardianship to you, a powerful energy to you. It is just going to turn into a more negative situation if it will not accept that healing and love. If it's just like, nah, then trust your gut and banish it. There's not a reason to deal with it. Maybe you simply went into meditation and you're off yourself. I don't know. But for whatever reason, it's an imposter and it's not something that you want to be listening to. This is exactly why they say, don't do shamanic journeys, don't meditate, don't astral project when you are in a negative state of mind, because you are also going to be creating negativity to you because it's coming from you. And if you're not in a positive state of mind, the negativity is going to lead you in a more negative way. Now, I want to discuss the black animal. The black animal is not evil, and it is not necessarily a negative animal. But what it typically, now I say typically, because this is not always the truth, but typically it is going to be bringing to you physical aspects that you need to see. Physical aspects in your life. Whether it is physically how you are acting and bringing out your mental capacity or conversations and actions, or its actual physical energy. It can be either. But it can be a protective animal of your physical. But what it typically is showing you is part of your shadow self, part of your ego. That's the difference between the black animal and an imposter animal. An imposter is straight negative. Something is wrong. Something is not right. A black animal is not evil. It is not negative. It is just shadowing you in a way of bringing out your own shadow. It is bringing out the aspects of you that you maybe don't want to admit. You don't want to see the truth in. The parts of you you don't love. That is part of what shadow does. It's bringing this to your attention. And it can typically be showing you how it is affecting you in your physical life. So, therefore, in a strange way, it is bringing to you how to protect yourself, or how you're not protecting yourself, or possibly just how you're protecting yourself in a wrong way, and that it would be better to do it a different way. This is why I said it is shadow and ego coming through, but into our physical life of some manner. But that does not make it evil. It's just showing us parts of ourselves, parts of the situations that we are in right now in our life that we may not really like. We may not love about our situation of ourself. And it's telling us how we are acting out in this way, how it is that we need to correct it so that we can turn that animal light and bring it into the light and start to make it white. Again, these animals intertwine, even though they actually may be spirit guides, they may be power animals. They intertwine into different aspects of what these animals are and what they do, and how large of a range they have. Because spirit is just endless. It can go on forever and become anything. And this is why these animals have so many different aspects, as well as simply that they intertwine and can become confusing. The best example that I can give you of this is how they have intertwined for me, how they have evolved with me as I've evolved. This is why they always say you will get it the way you are meant to receive it, as you are on your path and where you are, what you need at that time. All right, let me give you the best example I can from my own life. I originally thought that my power animal was a black wolf. Now, I've told you that what I thought was my power animal, I actually found out was a journey animal. See, but again, it started off as a black wolf because it had some issues we had to work out on ego, basically. And as it has evolved, I've watched my black wolf become white. But it still is a journey animal, not my power animal. Although it brings me power and it does bring me guardianship, but it is going to be with me, period, from the time my journey starts until the time my journey ends. And I've watched it. Again, your journey animals are with you until the journey is done. But that depends on what the journey is that that animal is there for versus how long it will be there. If it's just a small journey in your life, it may only take a few months. If it is because it's part of your soul mission, your divine life purpose, then it may be with you until you die. Now, the next animal I'm going to discuss is exactly why I told you that. I have watched my wolf go from black to red to gray and become white. The next animal of healing that we need to understand is the white animal. The white animal is a very special and powerful animal. Not that all animals aren't powerful. All animals have their right. All animals are very powerful and important to us and have a right to be respected and honored. But the white power animal, that is more of a sacred animal. There are many levels of spiritual reality, of spiritual growth, spiritual learning. But the white, again, it represents the highest level of spiritual teaching. It is the highest ascension of paths and of frequencies. They are the animals known as those who walk the side of light. The white animal is often seen as a friend to the white shaman, to the white witch, the white magician, so to speak. It works towards issues of soul and soul healing rather than the physical or the mundane. This is why it is white. It is representing the highest level of learning, the highest of frequencies, the highest of ascending. The white animals are considered to be the representatives. They represent the healers of the healers, the teachers of the teachers. This is where your healers and your teachers are getting their information from those white animals, or at least when those animals become white. They bring us ascending energy, ascending learning, ascending knowledge. They are ascending patterns of energy. The white spirit animal is known to have a connection with the higher vibrations. It is known of its ascension. This is why its connection with the frequencies of the number 3, the number 4, and the number 13 come into play. Now, of course, we're going to have those people who love their numbers. So I'll go into a small amount of what those vibrational frequencies mean with the white animal. See, in short, the number 3 is getting your attention, following your intuition, your inner wisdom, your creative skills. It has a connection with the ascending masters. It brings us help to focus on our divine spark within ourselves as well as others. It is all about faith and trust. So when we are dealing with a white animal, this is partially why we consider it sacred, because in a form, it is an ascending master of animal form. The frequency of 13 can be seen as a blessing in disguise. It guides and assists us on our soul mission, bringing into perfect alignment of our divine life purpose, overcoming the upheavals that are happening for whatever karmic reasons, and breaking the new ground and bringing new opportunities for our spiritual growth. Adapt gracefully. And the frequency of 4 is wholeness. It is about oneness. It is about proper preparation of the plans for that wholeness or oneness. Achieving goals through diligence and proficiency. 4 is connected with Earth, stars, moon, the universe. It is connected with the 4 corners, the 4 elements, with air, wind, fire, earth. It is the wholeness of it all coming together, what holds it all together. It is considered also, in some cultures, to hold the creator energy, that whom can create. Now, with all of that being said, teaching about all those different areas of what the spirit animals can bring to us, all those different categories of what a spirit animal is. The reason I brought all of them up is because Spirit has guided me today to talk about the rabbit and how confusing the rabbit can be, as well as how much healing the rabbit can give. But it's often viewed incorrectly. So therefore, it is missed for what it is trying to bring. And this is why it may repeat itself. I can't find a better animal for this very category. Let's look at it this way. They used the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland as follow the rabbit down the rabbit hole. You don't know exactly what you're going to find. Now, do you? No. But that is perfect, especially for what I am about to explain about the rabbit. But first, we have to let our sponsors do their thing and give them a moment, and we'll be right back.
Have you been searching for that perfect candle for your project or working? How about for a specific intent? Something other than the big box store candles made from mystery wax? Then look no further. Visit The Waxing Witch on Etsy for the best selection of handcrafted candles anywhere. Pillars, votives, shaped, plus some giftable candles you won't believe. All their candles are made in-house using a variety of waxes, soy, palm, beeswax, paraffin, and all are clearly noted in the listing, so there's no mystery wax here. From a whole line of saints candles to archangel working candles, and you have to see the new Wicked Wonderland spell candles. They're made to work wickedly quick and wonderfully easy. Or the fun new Sanderson sister pillars. Those are a hoot. And I can't forget their skull candles. These are phenomenal. The burn is beautiful, and I really won't work a trick without one. But that's not all. Any candle can be customized with a scent of your choice or even color if you prefer something different. They love special orders and will work with you to make your candle the way you want it. They do unity candles, hand fasting candles, or candles made for events, so don't hesitate to ask. You won't find folks easier to deal with, and they all come from their little shop on a Louisiana bayou. So do yourself a favor. Check them out on Etsy at The Waxing Witch. That's The Waxing Witch, witch spelled W-Y-T-C-H. Tell them PBNR sent you for a little surprise with your order.
Mama Gina, that fearless pagan bard, is touring the U.S., bringing her own bluesy brand of songwriting and storytelling to you. She talks to the gods and goddesses, and they talk right back, gifting her with the amazing music, sometimes heartbreakingly sorrowful, sometimes outrageously hilarious. Mama Gina's CDs are available online at www.cdbaby.com/artist/Mama Gina. You'll find the latest Mama Gina news, tour info, thoughts from her blog, music from her current CDs, and video links and booking links at www.mamaginamusic.com. That's www.mamaginamusic.com.
Okay, and we are back. This is Getting Familiar, and I am Lady Stars and Fire. Now, we were about to discuss the rabbit animal, rabbit's medicine, and how it brings us healing if we know how to understand and be aware of the true messages that the rabbit is bringing us. Yet, that can be very confusing. See, rabbit is actually a very positive animal, but it has a twist. That's why I said it was perfect for being in Alice in Wonderland. It shows us how to attract love, abundance, health, and warmth. A rabbit can teach us how to remedy a situation with quick thinking, strengthening of our intuition, and the paradox. Seeing a rabbit may be a sign to wait for the universe around you, your world around you, to move first, to stop worrying and rid yourself of fears. The rabbit indicates to us to reevaluate the process, to rid ourselves of the negativity, and to become humble. Now, where this becomes confusing is often when we think of rabbits, we think of how rabbits multiply, and we automatically think of, well, that means abundance. So that means bringing more, fertility of some form. More is growing, more is coming, new growth, coming. And that's true. But we also forget it is what we manifest. It is what we think. It's just like they say, positive brings positive, negative brings negative. When you think of a rabbit multiplying and creating abundance, this is the same thing. It is easy to assume that that abundance is going to be positive, when in fact, it may not be. Often, it is thought that way, and the confusion comes in that it's always and only going to be positive because of some of the traits of the rabbit. The rabbit is, or its traits are, of love, of luck, of shyness, of speed, of growth, of creativity, of harmony, of family, of awareness, of preparation, of abundance, obviously, and of knowledge. It also reminds us we are the creator of our own life. Now, while rabbit medicine is also teaching us we are the creator of our own life, we can bring abundance to us, and we can bring it to us quickly. It also not only teaches us, gives us instructions through learning of how to do this, as well as bringing that power to us, but it gives us lessons in healing. how to heal ourselves. But again, if we are not viewing the situation of when the rabbit brings its medicine to us correctly, well, we're going to miss it. And we're not going to get the proper medicine, that proper healing. Because, quite honestly, often we just want to believe what we want to believe. Sometimes we don't want to look at the deeper truths of self. And rabbit often can dig right into those deeper truths of self. Again, like Alice in Wonderland and the rabbit hole. That rabbit hole represents the deeper inner truths of self. The rabbit often is a guide into the shadow world, the shadow of ourselves, where our personal fears lie. They remind us to examine those deep reflective fears that hold us back from our growth. We learn rabbit also teaches us we may be afraid of tragedy, of illness, of disaster, therefore calling those very things to us in manifestation. This is why in Native American cultures, the animal, the rabbit, is often called the fear caller due to its projecting of its own fear of being eaten by predators. Have you ever heard of scared as a rabbit? In part, this is why rabbits are timid, why they are shy, because of that fear, because of alertness. They have to pay a lot of attention because they are a vegetarian, honey. They don't eat anything but bark, fruit, leaves, but everything else, all the predators around them will eat them. They have to be alert. The rabbit teaches us to see and know our fears because fears have a certain vibration, a vibrational energy that is going to attract more reason to be fearful. When we apply the understanding of how manifestation works, when you put fear, like the rabbit being eaten, fear produces just like rabbits multiply. So negative brings negative. Positive brings positive. If you live your life in fear, then you're going to stay in fear because you are living in fear. Rabbit teaches us how to face our fears. Now, I don't know how many people out there are going to tell me, I'm not afraid of things. I don't fear anything anymore. That's a lie. Everybody fears something. It's part of human life. But the difference is learning not to be paralyzed by fear. We're always afraid of something, somehow, somewhere. Something will be lost. Something will be changed. Something will be taken away. Something is going to happen somewhere in your life that's going to cause you to have fear. I don't care who you are. Fear is part of human existence. Something, somehow, will present fear. That is human. But, again, being paralyzed by fear is a different story. Not allowing yourself to grow and move on and live in fear, that is a different story. Fear is going to come and go. It's a difference when you live in fear. Part of what Rabbit is teaching us is vulnerability and humbleness. A good question to ask yourself is when you are faced with new challenges that appear in your life, do you return to old patterns that maybe haven't always worked out so well for you? If the answer is yes, Rabbit is asking you again to face your fears, but to face them with compassion for yourself. Remember, rabbits, often seen as the cute little bunny, they're little, they're small, they're soft and fluffy. This reminds us of vulnerability, but they are also teaching us how to be humble. We are always going to be vulnerable in our life. There are always going to be things happening around us that are out of our control. All we really can do is be alert and be humble in life. Because if we live in fear, just like the rabbit that might be worried about the eagle swooping down and taking it and eating it, then that's what you'll create. You are what you create. If you're humble, then you're going to find a more happy life. Of course, you're going to be vulnerable in life. Things are going to happen. If you're alert, you'll make the best of the situation. But you can't live in fear. This is part of finding humble, fear, and vulnerability all colliding. The rabbit also reminds us that it's a vegetarian. Its diet isn't only because that's what it wants to eat, but it's the way its actual internal makeup is. It can only digest being a vegetarian. This is why it eats what it does. Now, part of its being a vegetarian is part of its survival skills. See, it eats brain food, basically. It eats the food that is going to help keep it healthy enough for it to have speed, for it to have strength and move the way it needs to, for it to stay alert. This is what I'm saying. Brain food. It's giving it strength. It's making it healthy. This is also a message Rabbit brings to us. It's asking us, are we having the best diet for ourselves? Are we giving ourselves the strength we need through our food, through our diet? Are we getting our brain food? Are we able to be alert? Are we able to have strength? Are we able to have speed in areas we need for our own survival and situations in our life? This is part of why its diet is brought to our attention. In China, the rabbit is part of their zodiac, part of their astrology, and it is considered to be of good fortune. It is also considered to have a connection with the moon. People who are born under the sign of rabbit in China are also believed to be of artistic character as well as sensitive. Like I said, they also are bringing of good fortune and luck. Now, with that good fortune and luck, we're going to talk about how the rabbit also has a connection with the magic, with the magical world, with the between times. Rabbits are often seen only at dawn or at dusk. This is that invisible time where the invisible becomes visible. This is where nature spirits and the fairy realm are the most active. Just like with the blink of an eye, a rabbit can be there and then be gone. This would be like that entering in and out of that magical realm, the world of wonder, the world of curiosity, the extra realms of spirit. It reminds us that spirit can come and go, that we can be there with it. We can be a part of it just as easily, as long as we're willing to leap, to have that leap of faith and to trust in it. We can jump back and forth through the realms just as easily as the rabbit can in the blink of an eye. But back here to our own physical world and physical existence in our life, the rabbit brings to our attention those brief moments. The importance of those brief moments, for often within those brief moments is where we also find brief moments of opportunity. This reminds us to be alert, to be spontaneous, to be unpredictable, and make sudden decisions and actions in our lives. Because if we are not able to be alert, we are going to miss these opportunities when they come. But just like everything else with Rabbit, there's the flip side. Are you looking at it from the right point of view as well? Those brief moments, that alertness, that spontaneousness, that unpredictability and sudden actions of moves also reminds us, don't get yourself backed into a corner you can't get out of. This is that deeper knowledge that Rabbit brings us. He reminds us to check the plans that may already be in motion in our life. Verify that we are not putting ourselves in a corner we can't get out of. Be alert, pay attention, be aware of your surroundings and what truly is going on around you at all times. Ultimately, the Rabbit is teaching us growth is assured if one is moving in balance with what it is that is occurring in our life. If we move too fast or we move too slow, then we create an imbalance and the growth comes to a halt. The rabbit is such a mysterious animal. It's a magical animal. It brings us healing, but it also brings us knowledge, learning, education in general of our own selves, our deeper aspects of ourselves, to overcome our fears so that we can be humble in our life. It is a great power animal. It is a great guide, along with all the other guides that it may become within our life. But most importantly, we need to remember that our spirit animals are not only about power, about guardianship, about learning, but about how they help us heal so that we can move forward with learning and borrow their power and receive their guardianship, so that as we move forward, we're not only moving forward, but we are ascending in our life. This is why we need to know that it's not just a power animal or a spirit guide, but that they are also journey animals, shadow animals, imposter animals, white animals, and black animals. They may intertwine, but they all have their purpose, and they may grow into different forms in a way, but they will have their reason for being there. And the deeper root of it always comes down to healing creates room for learning, then creates room for power. They will always be there to protect you if they're your power animal, but they may be doing more than just that. So it's best for you to honor them. All right, everybody. I hope that you had a wonderful time with me today. And again, this is Getting Familiar, and I am Lady Stars and Fire. I wish you so much love, hugs and kisses in the wind, and take care of you until we meet again. Bye, everybody.